Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. I'm sure you guys can recognize who have with me, Mr. Vikram Sood, a very well-known person. And, this is something, it's an honor to actually sit with him after Operation Sindoor to try and understand what's happening around the world, and especially with regards to the game that nobody talks about. So let's try and see what Sir can tell us. Sir, Namaskar, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to stick to kind of security for the first few times, but first few questions. My main question is, what do you say to our intelligence who basically gave us the information that we see coming in front of us today, right from Skardu to Karachi, targeting soft corners, soft bases, including terrorists, who, by the way, were brought back into Bahawalpur for some reason because somebody told them that attack nahi ho raha hai. And that's why the casualties in Bahawalpur, the numbers are going up now. What would you say to the intelligence and how this whole thing would have been done with the military forces?
I can only imagine what might have happened.
So,
and see if that makes sense. I don't think this operation was conceived on the 23rd of April. It was conceived much earlier, possibly after Uri or after Pulwama. Okay. They want to know if there is another attack, what are we going to do? And how are we going to, Pulwama was one. We did it once to Balakot and end of story. Uri we did once and end of story. So this is probably what the Pakistani expected कि जब हम करेंगे अल्लाह तो इंडियन है एक आधा कुछ करेगा और खत्म हो जाएगा. And we would also have imagined that they would have put their air defense system ready on the 22nd of April. So you select your time. And you have readied your game plan palace. I don't know how the plan would have worked, plan A or B or C, which one they put in. ऐसा होगा तो हम ऐसा करेंगे, वैसा होगा तो ऐसा करेंगे. So you strike terror camps only. And you know they're going to retaliate. That is their DNA. That ये तो हम नहीं छोड़ेंगे जी, हमारी इज्जत का सवाल है. Sure enough, they came, and we were readier than they were. And this noise that some of our politicians made, कितने गिर गए, क्या गिर गए? अरे भाई, you are an attacking force. You're bound to lose. You're bound to lose. It happens like that's the way it functions. That's the way the world is because you're open and visible to them. And also that the counter, you wouldn't know where it would come from, and there might have been mistakes also. That also happens in the glare of the hot world happens. So there's no harm in saying at the right time, yes, we lost something. It would be much better for the country if these people who cast doubts would have said, okay, we are with you. We'll talk about this later. So that during the counter-attack, we did what looks like a very professional counter-attack. And many were disappointed that यार छोड़ दिया, हम तो जीत रहे थे, तोड़ देना था. That's not how it works. It takes, it was the right thing to do. You attacked, I responded. You had the gumption to do it once more, and we hit you back. And we hit you hard because we've been. There must have been trial sorties, along the border. There would have been war gaming, planning, exercises from 2019, wasn't it? Pulwama. 6 years.
6 years.
You've been working at it. 6 years में कुछ नहीं हुआ. No other attack took place of this nature. So there it was. And we got what we wanted. We got them running for cover, and we got the DGMO coming for suing for peace. And imagine the Prime Minister is in a swimsuit in a pool when he's told at 2:30 a.m. that we've been attacked. There's no need to embellish your statement. What was he doing there? Cooling himself, running away. That was comical. So I think they've made a point, an adequate point, more than adequate point, and they have no response. We push them back for a few months, if not years, before they can get ready again, and they will come back. It is in their genes, it's their DNA. वो कह गया ना, field marshal, or they call him Ford Marshal, before on the 17th of April, he made that statement: we are two countries, two religions, can never be the same. Kashmir is our bloodline or whatever. So, okay. And then they send out this Mirza fellow to talk diplomacy in Shangri-La, convoluted. वो बंद कर दो, and let's go to consultations instead of confrontation. Meaning, and then bring in Kashmir. The Pakistan typical reaction is like those of the any other group like this. पहले गुंडागर्दी कर लो, मारकुटाई कर लो, and then play the victim card. That's what they're doing. And I'm not surprised with the Western reaction either. They will always be like this. Always support their creation, as it were. So I'm all right with this.
You know, one of the
cannot flow together. I'm all right with that.
So I wanted to basically see one of the biggest things, but one of the biggest challenges for any, I won't say intelligence, but the planners, the central planners for this mission, would have been to gauge how deep China, Turkey, and all these guys are involved. And now, more that we actually come across, we realize the Americans are also involved here. They're also sitting here. So that would have been a big calculation. So the decision, I want to ask you, as somebody who's been close to the apex and been part of probably strategic decisions, so that the decision to actually hit as hard as we did and with the strategic nature that we hit. Now there are talks about nuclear, there's talks about American weapons, they talk about a whole lot of things. Missiles don't just fall in certain places, they're planned to hit. What page of the escalation ladder did we go to, sir? What page of the book did we open that day?
I think second or third ladder we climbed.
That's the third ladder, sir, when you are debilitating the enemy's even option to respond.
Sorry?
That's the third ladder when you're breaking someone's back so badly that he basically
he has an option to react. The first ladder would be you take one step, एक ही मार के आ गए. Now he's done it, you've moved up the ladder. And now if he does it, he will move up the ladder again. And that is where we're probably not more than five steps to the ladder.
Jeeps. So basically we took it really hard.
They've really been hit hard as I can make out. तभी इतना चाहते नहीं. Wouldn't have made so much of a noise, and partly wanting to make noise, partly also trying to be conciliatory, partly sending off their missions abroad to counter the Indian thing, to show that we are reasonable people. It's these chaps who just don't talk to us even. That riles them the most, I think.
Yeah, ignorance.
We say terror and talks don't go together. And if you have terror, we're not going to even give you water. So that was one half letter when he said we won't give you water. They showed no change of heart, so we went in for this. Because पानी की shortage तो ज़्यादा तो affect Sindh और बाकी लगा करते हैं, not Punjab. Punjabis get that most of their water. Some overflow the Indian rivers, some from their own. They've been traditionally getting enough water. It's when this gets stopped and when the Punjabi has to run around looking for water for his farms, then it's a problem. Now, I suppose by September they'll feel that of the shortage, or maybe in some cases excess, depends on how the weather goes play.
That's interesting.
So look, they can't overwhelm us. They should know that. They can't overwhelm us. They can keep doing this little, you can call it little comparatively speaking, headaches. And it's about time they stop doing it and behave like a grown-up nation. And accept कि कश्मीर तो मिलने वाला नहीं है. It's gone. It never was with them, it never will be with them. And we talk of POK, well, that's another story. So that is where we are today. I think we're fairly comfortably off. And the West has been ambivalent all along our 75, 77 years of existence on Kashmir and Pakistan and China. So we have to live for that. So our teams have gone. They made a point. How long that impression lasts, I don't know. We'll have to think of other means. Preempt the second one or the third one.
So how do you see these terrorists on the streets, which are basically taking over Pakistani streets today? And the army seems to be sort of in the background, kind of, in my opinion, not in control. The terrorists seem to be, the leaders of these 3-4 Jamaats seem to be more in control of the street than the army, sir.
Possibly. I think possibly the army is not too popular now today after what happened.
Sure.
And they're taking a low cover, low profile, and let these chaps run out of steam. I haven't been following what's been happening in Pakistan. I find it very boring. Same old. गाली गुलोच करके चले जाते हैं, and then come back for another round of beating, and then they go back again. कितनी दफा हो चुका है? 5-6 दफा तो हो चुका है.
Yeah.
So I think they should learn that you cannot win wars by sacrificing or killing innocents. It's no bravery. You don't go to heaven because of that. Their heaven, their paradise, and you kill civilians. So, till Pakistan gets mature enough to recognize what it can do and what it cannot do or what it should not do, nothing will change. So, they have to convince their own systems. First, they have to convince themselves, Baba, it can't be done. When we tell the rest of the Pakistani world, it can't be done. We just live here. Finished. That's what we got. We're not getting anything more. अपना बलोचिस्तान संभालो यार, NWFP संभालो. कश्मीरी तो आपको बोलने नहीं आती. They don't know Kashmiri they don't know Kashmiri language. So what is it that they're looking for here? In the Cold War, it was an issue that they could take up and sort of get the Americans to help them or the West to help them. They became a major non-NATO ally fighting there in Afghanistan. But then they sheltered with Osama bin Laden. With or without American approval, I don't know. If the Americans have so much intelligence all over the world, 17, 16 agencies that didn't know where Osama bin Laden was, I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised. They have this, you don't know where the great, the icon sort of your anti-Al-Qaeda operations, you don't know where he is. And he's not living in a cave, he's living in a double-storied house, three-storied house, not far from the, I think the training command. Okay? And that night, not a single air siren was sounded.
Yeah.
So what was it? And you can believe, take a shot and take that movie. What was it?
Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30, which sort of legitimized enhanced interrogation to extract information. And actually, the other story was that they had a walk-in who told them everything. I don't know even if that is true or not. I don't know whether the news is there anyway. So let's go and get him now.
Hard to be missed from someone where you're considering current intelligence and how deeply Americans were involved in Noor Khan. Hard to kind of believe that Osama bin Laden was about 100 kilometers, under 100 kilometers from them, and they didn't know.
Yeah. He was 2 kilometers away from the training command headquarters there in
Waterbad.
2 kilometers away. You could hear the guns.
How deeply do you think America and Pakistan are involved with each other? Because I'll compare it with Israel, sir. So if you can...
no, I think there's a lot of mutual suspicion also.
Okay. And, which is there with Israel as well?
With the Americans and the Israelis?
Yes, sir. They don't like each other, but they kind of work with each other.
They work with each other. They need each other, so they work with each other.
Is it the same with
Pakistan? Give them, apart from maybe it used to give them bases to operate in Afghanistan, or a landing point for Nixon, for
Kissinger,
for establishing contacts with China, and so on and so forth. Help in the Cold War was what they gave. And they were allowed to do their nuclear bomb, prepare for it, despite everything else. I mean, all Reagan had to do is to give a statement saying, no, they're not doing it.
They will.
And the aid will.
Yeah.
So once they left Afghanistan, they cancelled that and imposed sanctions on Pakistan.
Yeah.
So they never sanctioned like this. Israel has never been sanctioned like this. They have done other things. But I don't think they've sanctioned Israel in this fashion.
So you think America still maintains a, say, hold within Pakistan? America does still maintain a certain amount of, hold, say, base, whatever. Something inside Pakistan?
I'm sure. They used to have a base in northern Balochistan also.
Yes, sir. Samugli.
Its name.
Sorry, not Samugli. Samugli is in Quetta. Shamsi.
Wait. Samugli was with them. or they used to operate from there.
Hmm.
So every time they've had this kind of an arrangement. And so हमने तो कभी कुछ नहीं दिया ना. We were accused of having broken up their empire. And in their earlier books, if you read old records, they had this plan. The northwest of Pakistan or northwest of India, which could become Pakistan later, was of great importance for them up to Balochistan for Russia, then Soviet Union. ये तो रहना चाहिए under our control. So when Ayub Khan and others said, we are with you, so they're very happy. Thank you very much. And here's the money. You can buy your pattern tanks and aircraft and so on and so forth. And use it in 1965. So the shuru se, I mean, it's a friendship which is now more 70 years old.
Yes.
It has its ebbs and flows.
Hmm.
But bottom line is they're not going to dump Pakistan. Anybody thinks they're going to walk out? No.
So how does this work, sir? American intelligence inside Pakistan, Chinese intelligence inside Pakistan, Turkish intelligence inside Pakistan, and the number one, of course, the ISI.
Yeah, well,
How does
ISI
this
plays
work?
host. ISI probably plays host and they sit around a table and talk. There were Turkish drones, Chinese self-air defense, and American aircraft flying on the night of 9/10. So that's what it was.
7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all the days.
All along they were flying together. So this is, each one has his own reason for not favoring India too much and trying to bolster up Pakistan. India is the obvious economic threat after a few years. And they don't like it. They don't like another competitor on the streets.
Hmm.
So keep it down. Pakistan is meant to keep us down. It doesn't really work anymore. Look at the state of their economy. Look at the state of our economy. Everything is not perfect in India. We're a democracy. Things go wrong horribly, but it's okay. We've not imposed any martial law. We've not imposed any emergency powers. We've done nothing of the kind. Not arrested any politician for anything else other than crime.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for them to accept that we could continue to be like this. They just want a malleable government. There's too much of nationalism in India today, according to them. And that's Hindu nationalism. So you keep dropping that in, and everybody thinks it's Hindu nationalism, therefore it's anti-Muslim. No, it is. So, अब आपने कहानी बना दी है, narrative बना ली है, people buy that, our own people spread those stories, and we have to deal with that.
See, when you look at this whole situation, sir, there are 2-3 things which very interestingly come out. There are, previously when we did certain things, Parakram and this and that, the world would tell us, no, don't do this, you stop, this time. This time, the number of countries who did that was less. And most of them didn't say anything. Now, we know Ajit Dol Saab was in touch with the Chinese. What kind of conversations happen with the Chinese at this point of time? What would you be telling them? Because we know that the Chinese were backing these guys. They were in active operations with these guys, and we are still talking to the Chinese. That has to be one phone call. If I was on a fly on a wall, I'd like to listen to that.
Mhm.
What kind of conversations happen with the Chinese in this kind of a scenario? So, what would you tell them? Lay off, back off, listen, I don't care, I'm going to hit him hard. He
Yeah,
called me, tell him to
I
stop.
think basically the conversation would have been we have to do something now. 22 of our people, 26 of our people have been killed in cold blood. It is my country, and we are not. This is going to be limited. So just leave us be. The Chinese don't want to get involved in the fight. Never. They have enough on their hands. They don't want to get involved, and um, particularly after Galwan, they don't want to get involved. And Turkey is an also ran in this thing. That fellow has his dreams of a caliphate. So let him dream on. It's okay. Erdogan. I think the reason why most of the countries have not said anything is Adi, because they're all so involved in their own problems. You know, all of Europe has its own problems of everything: economy, politics, military. So they don't want to get involved in something else. And nobody is sure which way old Trump will go. So it's being treated, which is a disappointment for Pakistan because it means that they're just leaving us to tackle it ourselves, which is a good thing.
So why did Trump kind of jump in, say, in your opinion? I mean, there's a lot about crypto, there's a lot about this thing.
First, I thought it was pure ego.
Mhm.
I am the peacemaker of the world. My word counts, and they will all back off. I told them, keep quiet, sit down, children. And they sat down. And we told them, no, we didn't say, you didn't say that, we didn't ask you, we're carrying on. But he insisted, he spoke about it again and again. But I think what you said in the beginning, that Noor Khan was the tipping point.
Hmm.
You must have realized that not only it's been attacked, but if it blows up, it really blows up in many ways. So maybe they're starting to shift out their hardware from there. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah.
So initially, sir, the assessment was that Trump is acting like this because Pakistanis did some crypto favors for him and stuff like that. Fair enough. Trump, you can buy Trump. Okay, let's put up one of our, big industrialists. We've got enough. Let him put, $50,000 in his account every month, and that should be fine. You can buy Trump. You can't buy the CIA. You can't buy the Defense Department. You can't buy the US establishment, which to me is still not under Trump. He's not been able to control it. So, what explains
You
this?
could buy off opinion.
Mhm.
You can buy off opinion among the congressional candidates, some think tanks, some influencers. You can buy them off. And what would Lockheed Martin want? What would Boeing want? Sell more hardware, no? So how do you sell more hardware? When the old one dies out, is useless. But who will buy it? You have to give them money to buy it. So
There
the
comes the
IF
irony.
money, IF money may not even leave US. It will be transferred back to somebody's account for buying the weapons. It's a little difficult, I should imagine, but broadly that's how they've been doing, siphoning off money and transferring it to us. I read somewhere, I was reading that there is an NGO which was being given X million dollars for their NGO work, but actually only 12 cents to the dollar reached the person intended. The rest went back, or 12 cents to the dollar out of 4 million or 4 million, whatever the figure. So that's how when they say that we're given $100 million to Afghanistan, 90% would go back. So also from the UN bodies, they will be paid for the wages or the salaries of the staff, the building, the rents, so on and so forth. The money never went for the purpose intended. Not all of it. It went back to the donor.
That we know, sir, because the Americans have been funding that jihadi organization in Michigan. But what? The Helping Hands Foundation. By the way, those are the guys kind of being spoken about with regards to the LA riots right now. That these are the people. Yeah. So these are the people that are funding, because there were Islamic slogans and all that being called out there. By the way. So that was also
organization like USAID and NED were meant for all this.
Yeah.
Their funds never went for aid or democracy. They went to destabilize the democracy or otherwise in that country. And NED was a creation of the CIA after the famous Frank Church committee report.
Yeah.
After Watergate. So they formed this organization, formed it, funded it, circulated it, then they have their own organization, sub-organization. You know the whole thing, how it works. So he stopped paying them. That's not I'm very happy about. But he has to last also that long. Mr. Trump.
That's an interesting proposition. So I'm going to stick here, but I'm going to take you up on that question before the end of the show. How long does Trump last? When we also look at Pakistan now, so it's running around the world, kind of trying to build weapons. There's that terrorists are roaming around free. There's an interesting article from Ehsanullah Asas, the former spokesperson of the TTP, who's written in the Sunday Guardian that these guys are looking at some Afghanis to kind of do something, or the Bangladesh front is open and this and that. So what do you think Pakistan will do forward, sir? Because they can't let this go, because if they tell their terrorist tanzeems to keep quiet, they will start doing stuff inside. So what do you think Pakistan will do now?
I don't know. I'm a little uneasy about our northeast.
Mm-hmm.
They found that Starlink is being used by the Manipuri insurgents. Starlink is operated, as you know, in areas where you don't have internet connection, and it is a secure means of communication. Why do they need it? The criminals use it the world over. It's all over Africa it is being used. By criminal gangs, by coup plotters, by those kinds of people. So, and Myanmar is out of, the army is not able to control. The Starlink apparatus devices are coming through Thailand, going into Myanmar, and from Myanmar possibly. Some go into India. So it's worrying that would somebody want to have a hand in that now that Bangladesh has become hostile to us? And it would suit them, it would suit the parties very well. They'll have clean hands. So we never did it. So I look at it that way. They may not want to touch this part of the country. So
It's not a very. It's not a very. I mean, it's not rocket science to figure out that Pakistanis are planning something and they will. So, in your opinion, they will try and do something considering the cost that they went through. Are they smart enough to do that?
yes, terrorism and insurgency doesn't cost much.
Yeah,
It's
but now we are going to implement it.
counterinsurgency and counter-terror which costs a lot.
But we are going to implement a cost on them now. So that cost will have to be factored in, right?
Sorry?
When we retaliate the way we did, and PM Modi said we
No,
will
but
keep doing it.
if you have something happening in Assam, you can't possibly retaliate against Pakistan.
You'll need documents and this and that and
Need some
everything.
proof.
Mm.
If you've got it, it's okay. If you got somebody in with documents, with evidence, with weapons, etc., or he's your own man there, then it's different. But if you don't have anybody, you don't have any proof. And if you don't have any proof, how are you going to do it there? That's what the problem.
So they're basically now going to test our policy.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. They will basically test our policy and see what are our further red lines. So they know one red line. If there's anything direct, they're going to get hit. What else can we do further without crossing that red line? That's interesting.
But does this apply to other countries or not?
Yeah. Of course. I understand that. I mean, there was recently a rumor that came out about started talking about TTK, Tehreek-e-Taliban Kashmir. I was like, are you serious? So I spoke to my friends in Afghanistan. I said, what is this? He said, sir, क्या बात कर रहे हो? हमारा कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है वहां पर. ये पाकिस्तानियों का काम है, sir. Don't buy all this stuff. There's nothing of this sort. If you find something, let us know. Now, this is very interesting to me. That means they're trying to forge a sort of an organization to do a cover attack and blame someone else.
If I were there, I would try that.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you deal with that then, sir? How would you deal with that then, sir? How does the security apparatus, intelligence, military, everybody deal with something like that? How do we prove it that it's Pakistan? Because in this sort of a game, it'll be the intelligence that will have to keep a track and kind of keep coming up with connections.
Yep.
So
more surveillance, more intelligence into sources. That's what I'm saying. It is counter-intelligence, counter-terror operations, counter-insurgency operations cost a lot more and with no guaranteed results.
So how do you see the game between the two countries today with regards to the change dynamic of Operation Sindoor? Both the overt and the covert agencies would be trying to kind of find a vulnerability going forward as well. How do you see that game? And considering Pakistan has China, US, Turkey, everybody also there in that. It's like, Istanbul back in the day in the Second World War or something like that, the spy capital of the world.
I think everybody is now going to get busy with their own affairs more than this one.
Okay.
Because Trump has too much on his hands right now. His bromance is over. And he's now messing around in California. He's bringing out this beautiful big bill next month, etc., etc. So I don't think they have time for this. This is going to go on to the back burner for some time. And without adequate protection or assurance, I doubt if the Pakistanis would indulge in anything now. I think we have time.
But they'll build their capability for sure. They'll build their capability for sure.
They have to do that. Now, I don't even know what is happening in Chittagong and that belt. I keep hearing reports that the Americans have taken over, they're going to have a base there. I mean, these are all reports, newspaper reports. One doesn't know which is true. You just have to make an assessment because I don't have any access to classified information. I can only see what is written. And is it the Chinese versus Americans in Chittagong again in the backyard, our backyard? What are we doing? And because neither the Chinese nor the Americans makes much difference to our security. Both the same. They're not going to let you have it your way. So Bangladesh is a new
battleground,
new dimension.
But China is facing setbacks in that region, sir, where you are seeing the two corridors of China, CMEC and CPEC. CPEC is in dire shit right now, and the Baloch in shore reminding us that this thing is not going to work.
No, it's not going to work.
But the CMEC as well, we are hearing reports of pipeline explosions. We are hearing reports of sabotage. We are hearing reports of all that from there as well. And we're also hearing reports where the Chinese who converted the Kachin state in the north to literally a backside of the moon by doing mining there, that stopped because the locals are on the street. They're not letting Chinese trucks by, this, that. So they're facing some setbacks in that area. I wonder who's doing that. Of course, there's going to be a lot of forces wanting to push the Chinese back. How do you see the left and right, or the east and west alignment of the Chinese within this region? And both the sides, if you look at it, there is the antagonist is America, who's coming in and trying to dislodge the Chinese. And we sit smack dab beautiful in the center, a big, beautiful country. How would you kind of see this dynamic?
Americans would like to use us, won't do it themselves.
Yeah, it's not happening. So
that's not happening. So the Chinese think they're sitting pretty. They know that we won't do it. We're not going to fight anybody's game. We're not going to be anybody's proxy. And I think we should also, for some time, just keep quiet. Not talk too much about
anything.
2030 will be this, or 2027 will be this. Chup karo yaar. जब होगा तो हो जाएगा. Just fly under the radar.
Catching too many eyeballs.
Rate of growth going 6-7%, highest in the world. Just be happy with that. We've done quite a lot. There's a lot of activity which is positive in our economic field. You need 5 years of peace, no problem. Try and attain that rather than get involved in their wars. Europe is never concerned with our wars. They think that they fight their wars. They think that we should be involved in taking sides. Why should we? तुम्हारा झगड़ा अपने आप करो सॉल्व, हमको क्यों बीच में लगाते हो? I need the oil and I'll take it from the Russians. They're offering it to me. Why shouldn't I? India is not going to attack United States, is not going to do anything, military against the United States, but my economic interest I will preserve. Now, it is like they preserve their economic interests and their military interests, I do the same. I have to.
Yeah.
Which government doesn't do it? Unless it's a government that they themselves have planted, now they want to get rid of it.
Well,
yeah.
No comments on that front. There's enough and more in this world which we've not seen a ratio.
So they'll continue like this. For quite some time, it was Pakistan as a counter to us before the rise of China. Then India was to be propped up to be a counter to China, but in their fashion. A nice, soft, pliable government, not the kind we have now. They want to talk on their own, they want to do their things first. This is not in their book. This is not the American book. This is not required to be done. But you say, no, I first. Only America first. So you can't have that.
My last question to you, sir, is about the internal front. We are now seeing a string of guys, influencers to, I don't know, common people being caught for spying charges and this and that. There are two, three things in this. One, of course, intelligence agencies don't crack down as soon as they come to know because they want to watch, they want to kind of keep the network going. They like even a double agent to be in the field so that they can get more and more
Otherwise
information.
Information will dry up,
dry up, and it's very difficult to kind of get a new chap to kind of recruit and this, that, and everything. So I can understand all these guys suddenly pop out because probably their use was over. So intelligence agencies decided, okay, these are all sacrificial. You can take them all out. So there's a row of people come out. It sends a social message. I can understand that game. I can absolutely understand. But so the penetration of ISI within this country, honestly, it kind of surprised me to a point that they were putting a lot of resources on pretty much people who had a social media presence. So that's it. They were putting in resources into some guy who was a security guard. Probably one military truck passes by his face once a week. Why so much effort on these kind of low-rung kind of intelligence? I know there are multiple kinds of assets. There are the top-notch assets which are part of the government or part of military and stuff like that. Second rung which are staying close to, or
but the same chap will tell you one day that today 100 trucks went by.
So it's an investment.
It's an investment. A lot of it is investment. You put a chap there, and if nothing happens, nothing happens. But if the army, the division, the brigade is moving, then a lot of things will happen. एक दो ट्रक तो रोज आते जाते हैं, उसमें क्या है? 4 trucks came, 4 trucks left, munitions came, or some food came, whatever. So that if you don't have those kinds of watchers, you have they're important in their own way. So a lot of the countries will do that. One or two guys just there.
Small level people.
You don't have to very high caliber. Just has to know the difference between a tank and a gun and a truck. So he will tell you, tank move kar gaye.
So it's a sheer factor that you saw so many people getting picked up at the first 10 days of the operation. We just saw a sweep across the country, south to the north. Everybody got just caught. As someone who's
I didn't know. I'm not on TikTok, or I don't follow these things. So
there were 12, 15 of them that got caught, and there are about 20 of them who are under the scanner right now, as per the open sources. What do you say when so many people get caught in one shot? These were taking time bombs, or
is it probably a ring with one master player? Ring, and he has 12 chaps around him. He's controlling 12 or 14 or 10 fellows. And you catch one, you catch the ringmaster, and you catch the others. And the other 12 may not know each other, but this guy knows everybody. So if pick up one guy from the thing, he leads you to the boss squeals, and you pick up the rest. So you don't pick up the rest, you just leave them and see what they do.
How they react.
It depends on what kind of things you're looking for, what kind of things they were giving. whether you can turn him around. गलत information feed करना शुरू कर दो.
So what I can see is they have people all around the country, but the kind of networks that used to exist at one time, they don't anymore. They're probably on the shadow, on the shy right now in J&K, Punjab. But the pan-India network that Pakistanis had at one time, the control that they had on the street of certain areas or certain cities, I wonder if they still have that.
I really can't say, but I think as we mature, as we settle down, as there are enough opportunities for others to do an honest day's job, you can't find a source for money reasons. No? Because enough money is available to that guy to do an honest living. कौन पड़े इस झमेले में यार, पकड़े जाओगे तो जेल जाओगे. It's the ideological chap you can still maintain. I don't think these guys they're pure mercenaries.
Soldiers of fortune.
हाँ, जो पैसा देगा उसी के पास चले जाएंगे. So they are all, that's the impression I got, high living, bit of attention, trips here and there, though easy living. They got picked up, and they were used.
And these guys are as bad as the people that write fake articles in the Hindu and the New York Times and stuff like that. But this time, it I don't know. I think we were lacking in certain areas, but we were quite strong in certain areas as well. We didn't really care about the Western media. We didn't really care about all the propaganda because it didn't really matter. You know, it doesn't matter.
You know, that I think that's one of the things that we are showing signs of maturity. I don't care what you're thinking. It's my country. I'll handle it the way I want to handle it. You handle your. I'm not interfering in your country. You can write your lengthy articles and read it yourself. Now, what percentage of India reads English newspapers in India? 2% or 3%? How many percentage would read the American press in India? मैं तो नहीं पढ़ता. Hardly anyone reads. If I say an article in New York Times, I know what he's going to say. So let it be. So these are articles that are meant actually to convince themselves that what we are saying about India is the correct thing. And there are many people who buy those stories. Yeah. There are many American Indians till today don't know what happened in Pahalgam. They don't care. Really, that happened? They haven't even heard of the war that took place, this 3-day, 4-day war. They haven't heard of it. अखबार नहीं पढ़ते हैं, टीवी नहीं देखते हैं, देखते हैं तो टीवी पे नहीं आता होगा. So there are people like us, similar people are here. I don't see the news every day. I don't read the newspapers every day. I don't enjoy it anymore. There are still a lot of people who go from cover to cover. There are a lot who don't. And we all go on to this easy read of the going to work on your computer, on your iPad, on your phone. You see kya ho raha hai, bas khatam. Headline mein gives all the news. Opinions give the news. So you form your own opinion that it's good to be able to ignore this, what the others are thinking, but there is also a need to build our own storyline, to be able to impress upon the world that what you see is not the truth. There is another truth. There is another capability. We haven't been able to do it because See, the West took over power 200, 300 years ago when they had the print, they had everything, they had the empire, they could make any stories, they could make themselves appear superior to everybody else, and we accepted that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're controlling all the media waves, if Starlink and others are going to control all your communications, then what are you going to do? Where does all this data go? We can use an appliance, but we don't have the ability yet to build our own platforms and systems. So that's what we should be aiming for.
That's yes, absolutely, because these guys are never going to be fair to us, and that's I think you very well put it across. So these guys will never be fair to us, and there's just no question about even expecting
Don't
something.
don't expect it, don't care.
Yeah, and they will probably protect
Do
their
your
own
own
child.
thing. Do your own thing, and be nice to them when they come calling. Be nice to them when you go meet them, but that's it.
Atmanirbhar Bharat ki jai.
Don't rub them the wrong way. Doesn't make any difference. Just do your own thing.
Hide your strength, bide your time, and develop. Wise words, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure talking to you, sir. And to the audience, my request to everybody, please show your love and write your comments and tell us what you guys think about what we discussed and what you want me to talk to Mr. Sood the next time. So please share your comments and share your feedback. Till then, namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Hind.